Let the COVID comeback commence on Comic Book. That's right, that's right, that's right. I am on the mend. I appreciate all the well wishes in the past week. We apologize profusely for not having a show last Sunday. I just was not feeling up to it. Chris has already been through this and he's like, yo, man, just shut it down if you're feeling this way. And I appreciate him. I appreciate you all. Let's just bring Chris in, my good friend and partner in crime here, Christopher.
Yes, we are survivors. We're gonna make it. Yep. As he coughs out a lung.
Yeah. Now, full disclosure, Chris and I were talking earlier. I never was diagnosed with COVID, but it had all the symptoms of COVID, and people have heard. Chris was bringing up there's another flu, maybe that's kind of like it, or people do have COVID and it's never detected. I don't know. Either way, I felt like crap. I still feel like crap. But it's good to be back here to do kind of a lighter show in general today. I don't know. We're not jipping you guys or anything, but we are going to be back here just doing our thing. You won't miss any fresh from the comic shop, props or flops, those types of segments in the news. Before we get into the news, though, why don't we do this? Tell everybody, hello, Marvel Goddess 418. She loved your rendition there. Nukes Comics, thank you so much. Lowbrow, we appreciate you as well. Journos Comics, thanks for showing. Oh, I'm just hilarious. Viper Guts, aka Viper GTS. Dale McNoud, I think maybe you're getting over the COVID as well. Jacob Comics, I think that's Jacob Merch. Jordan Nori, Comic New. Tony Trombetta. Love you, man. We'll be talking about you in a few minutes here as our sponsor of Fresh from the Comic Shop. Who else do we got? Did we cover everybody here? I'm not sure. I'm again a little out of it. Matt Labno. We didn't say hello to you. Nikita Kare. Didn't say hello to you. Peter Thornton. It's like
Uh-oh. Yep. Yeah, I think the sickness got I think Jeff spread his sickness, his COVID to his computer. Uh-oh. I don't, Jeff, if you okay, I don't know if Jeff could hear me, but that was like I can't even I don't even have words for it, but that was the most trippiest glitching I've ever witnessed. Folks, we're gonna let Jeff try to take care of what he needs to take care of. Chopped and screwed version, right? We're just remixing it up here, folks. Oh man, T-Shoe, what's going on, T-Shoe? Raw dog. So yeah, guys, while we're waiting on Jeff, Dale is in the house right now. If you guys were watching my show on Friday, I want to give another huge shout out to Dale for sending me some original artwork of his, including this, the Batman artwork right here. And I'm going to be paying this forward and giving this away to one of my awesome viewers. But Dale, I wanted to say thank you again and just show off your amazing work. Of course, the stuff that I'm keeping, the Tupac stuff. Let's get this glare down. There we look at that. Look at that. That is just freaking amazing. And then the full color, the full color piece. This is just, I'm going to try to frame this and I'm going to hang it up like right back there somewhere. So it's in every single video that I do. But yeah, Dale, you are awesome, man. Thank you so much, guys. And if you guys aren't following Dale, as always, again, leave your Instagram handle for your art page, because amazing, amazing work, folks. So let's see. Let's go into some more news, folks, while we're sitting here waiting on Jeff to make sure he gets everything up and running. We're going to talk about Ezra Miller being in the news again for some more controversy. So what happened this time for a second time in a matter of only 3 weeks? Miller was arrested for an incident that basically was assault. He was first arrested 3 weeks ago at a karaoke bar, this time for assault charges on a woman in Hawaii. The local news station from the Hawaii news station outlet reported on it, stating this, quote, Big Island police officers were called out to a reported assault at the home of the Leilani Estate subdivision in Lower Puna just after 1 a.m. And according to this report, Miller allegedly got angry after being asked to leave the home and threw a chair, striking a 26-year-old woman in the head, causing a half-inch cut. The woman refused treatment for the injury. If you guys also remember, in 2020, Miller was caught on camera choking and throwing a woman. Yes, choking and throwing a woman. I remember watching that. I didn't know what I was watching. This was located at a bar in Ireland. That woman did not press charges. So we have just some, this is alarming in my humble opinion for Ezra Miller. To me, if you look at every incident, I'm going to assume that this has to be either alcohol or substance abuse induced. There's something going on, I think, on a deeper level to where he is either has a substance abuse problem that's causing this behavior. But regardless of the case, I'm not making excuses for him. This behavior is wrong, especially if you are purposefully putting your hands on a woman. Now, what does this mean for the future of his role as the Flash in the DCEU or just in the Warner Brother DC properties? Personally, for me, I look at it like this. I think we ride a fine line these days. And I talked about this a little on my channel on Friday, where I brought up the Brie Larson situation, where when she was campaigning for the Captain Marvel movie, she made a statement about diversity in the industry. It was completely taken out of context by, certain groups of people. And, people were trying to cancel her or say, boycott the film. The movie's going to bomb. Made over $1 million. But then on the flip side of that, you have the Gina Carano incident where she made some comments that kind of offended an opposite side of people. And I don't know if that was directly related to her getting dropped from The Mandalorian. I don't really recall. But when you look at those situations, I think it's pretty silly that we take people's opinions or certain things that they say to such extremes that we need to, blacklist them or blackball them. I think both Brie Larson and Gina Carano were both valid in saying what they wanted to say, regardless if I agree with them or not, or disagreed, regardless if you guys agree or disagree. Their opinions. Maybe you thought they were ignorant. Maybe you thought they were off base. It doesn't matter. They weren't hurting anybody. They're opinions, and we should still be allowed to have our own opinions. This situation is completely different. This is an individual that is actually allegedly hurting people. And what does that mean for the future? I don't know. But if I was an executive of Warner Brothers or DC, I wouldn't want to continue to have a working relationship with an individual that is really, taking part in abuse and these types of accusations, because I want to represent my brand in a certain light. And me as an executive, I would never condone this type of behavior. It is a problem. Do I think that they should cancel the Flash film? No, it's done. Release the film, do what you got to do. But as more information of this case comes out, if he is charged or found guilty of any type of, violence of this level or assault of this level, I would be done with them, plain and simple. Jeff, are you back?
I'm back.
You ready to add some thoughts on what is going on with Ezra Miller?
I kind of jumped in on what you said, but he's got some problems that need to be dealt with, and it's unfortunate. And this is the second arrest he's had, I guess, for crossing the line. A lot of people are like, maybe they should just replace the Flash, and I think it's way more complicated than that. The film is probably pretty much 90% done shooting. They may have some reshoots or what have you. But it goes to a deeper kind of thing where nobody's addressing this guy's issues, and he really needs to start addressing those, because this is at least the third instance. He assaulted a woman, I guess. Allegedly, that woman, I don't know, was going off on a rant, like a racist rant or something like that. I don't know. And then these two incidents in Hawaii, it just doesn't, it's obviously not a good look for him. Definitely.
Right. Yeah.
Warner Brothers, I really don't know how you would handle something like that. And that's why you have corporate, kind of crisis management and things like that. So I don't know, it's bigger than they put a lot of investment in him.
Yep.
Who knows if they did their homework on, anything that he did struggle with and how he handles that, because you can't just do that in our society. Right. There's, get help, because obviously hurting people is crossing the line. So,
yeah. And, you got to understand that, Warner Brothers, innocent until proven guilty. These are all alleged actions at this point. He hasn't been charged. The thing that was caught on video, though, in Iceland, that's problematic, because although the woman didn't press charges, you saw an altercation that I think that just from what we saw that should have never happened. Mm-hmm. I want to address, because Peter Thornton did say too about Gina Carano. I don't remember the details of that, but I will say this, because I do believe, we need to be able to have opinions, and that's different than physically hurting somebody. Mm-hmm. But I will say this with the Gina Carano situation, I think, Jeff, we talked about this back then. Even when it's things that you say or things that you say on social media or to the media or out in public, I guarantee you, these actors and actresses sign contracts that state, even when you aren't like on set, or even when you're not, like, you represent our brand. So while I don't think we need to be on this whole, let's, blacklist everyone for just saying something we don't agree with, the Gina Carano situation could have easily been, well, guess what? You signed a contract with us to where you weren't representing our brand, and therefore we can cut ties just because of something that you said publicly. So that is something that all of these actors and actresses have to understand, that they have to adhere to, and they're always going to be under that microscope. So at the end of the day, it's tough. But yeah, with the Ezra Miller situation, we'll wait for more information to come to light. But this type of physical violence, especially when it seems like there's substance abuse involved, it's just that it's not okay.
Yeah, the Gina Carano thing, as I recall, there were some hateful kind of comments. I could be wrong. It was such a long time ago. Yeah. And, that crosses a line, no doubt about that. But everybody's entitled to their opinions as long as they're not hurting other people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and again, we're opening up a can of worms here, but like the whole shut up and dribble with LeBron, that dude pays taxes. Yeah. He can say, he can speak freely, whatever he wants, whatever he believes in terms of how the country is run, how people are treated, those kinds of things, just like you and I can do that. So I don't, again, the difference between that and hateful kind of the Gina Carrera. I could be wrong about. I don't remember specifically, but I think there were some hateful kind of comments in there. So, I don't know how much is done with the news here. What's going to happen now? I'm going to try and reboot my computer, and hopefully we can go through some of those cool images and things like that. So hopefully things will be better. I'll be right back, Chris. Again, we appreciate y'all kind of bearing with us. I'll be right back, Chris.
Awesome. Sounds good. So we'll keep it rolling, folks. Yeah, just to add on to what Jeff said too, I think when it comes to things that we say too, we do cross a line still when it comes to, anything that can be seen is hate. I don't want to say hate speech, but just hate driven to a certain group of people or something like that. And then, you gotta, we all got to do better. I think at the end of the day, we absolutely have to do better just to, make sure, again, not censor ourselves, but to make sure whatever opinions we are expressing, we're doing it in a way that does not perpetuate or incite hate or violence to anyone or any group of individuals. So.
All right, well, we're back here. I don't know, Chris, if you want to just run through all the stuff that we had in terms of the news. Hopefully, my computer won't crap out again.
That's all I talked about. The only thing I talked about was the Ezra Miller stuff. So,
all right. Well, let's hope things get better because that's a cool looking image right there.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Next up, guys. Again, the big news was this amazing Thor trailer. Finally got a Thor trailer. It was incredible. A huge debut with 209 million views in 24 hours. We're just learning that the plot details are sticking to the comics because you see the Mighty Thor here, aka Jane. Portman already confirmed that the cancer storyline will play into her character, but here's more detail from a Thor helmet product description. Basically, they're going to be selling Mighty Thor's helmet. Suffering from cancer, astrophysicist and Thor's ex-girlfriend Jane Foster visited New Asgard, and her life was changed forever. Mysteriously, the broken pieces of Mjorn, I can never pronounce it. The hammer of the Thunder God transformed her into the Mighty Thor and gifted her with superpowers, with the superpowers of Thor, to battle threats internal and external. Wielding Mjolnir herself, she had become a godly protector, and a new hero was born with the help of Thor, Valkyrie, and the Guardians of the Galaxy. The Mighty Thor was faced by the powerful Gorr the God Butcher. With divine powers himself, Gorr was driven to rid the universe of gods, wherever he found them. Battling cancer in a human form and Gorr in her godly form, Jane Foster was embroiled in an epic struggle with plenty of love and thunder. Not only did they get inspiration from that, but I mean, it was ripped right from the pages with this amazing image. I mean, look at this comparison. Obviously, the top is from the Jason Aaron Thor run. I guess that's actually, I'm not sure who is it S. Ribic, I think, is the artist. And look at that image inspired a shot from the film. It's absolutely incredible. I'm loving that. Loving everything I see there, Chris. And finally, we got two new posters, one with Thor and one with the Mighty Thor. And I'm loving that as well. Chris, your thoughts on finally, actually, we didn't even talk about the trailer. I'll tell you what, I liked that we had a trailer. I liked the tone. I liked the Sweet Child of Mine, but a lot of people are complaining that they haven't seen Gorr the God Butcher, things like that. I think it was just a string of just many moments of what's going to be an amazing film.
Yeah. First off, here we go being spoiled and nitpicking. Yeah. And they didn't do this, they didn't do that. God Butcher has a nose. All these things. Just chill, folks. Let's wait for the movie. It looks epic. It does. Funny, I was just wearing my Guns N' Roses shirt the other day too. Somebody was they're complaining about the song? Like,
no, who was complaining about the song?
No, they weren't complaining about the song. Okay, good.
I bet you somebody was complaining about the song.
Yeah, somebody was. But nah, man, it's I feel like for some reason we've waited so long for this because it ties into Guardians as well. So it's almost like, we've been knowing that this movie's been coming, but also to see the Guardians come back. And because we know, because of what happened with James Gunn, and that James Gunn actually worked with Waititi on this project to kind of, bring in where they were originally going to go with Guardians 3. And then they're, okay, how can we loop it into this film and then hit Guardians 3? So I might be more excited for that than anything, continuing the Guardians storyline within this.
Yeah,
and maybe that's, oh, well, what about Jane Foster Thor and all these things? But I'm like, that's what I'm more excited about, because I don't think any of us know what to expect from that side of this film.
No, that's gonna. There's so many interesting elements, and I'm hoping they bring somebody else said that. Better Ray Bill. I hope they bring him as well into the fold. That would be a lot of fun. Again, I think they're holding a lot back, potentially because of what's going on with Doctor Strange.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. Honestly, I'm excited for it. It's just a teaser. It's nothing, and I have no problems based off of the figures of what Gore the God Butcher looks like. I have no problem with that. Who knows how he's going to transform further along in the film? Yeah. We'll see. But that's not the only exciting news here as well, Chris, because you and I both love Star Wars. Is that true?
Yeah.
Do we like the music of Star Wars?
Does a bear shit in the woods and wipe his ass with a fluffy white rabbit?
I guess so. Well, John Williams is back, and Chris, you need to start telling us about that right now. Just get away from the
guys. Yeah, so back in about a century ago, in that year 2019, I call it BC, before COVID. John Williams confirmed that the Rise of Skywalker film would be his last Star Wars score. No, some of the most classic movie scores of all time. But now we have confirmation that Williams will be returning to compose a theme, or the theme, for the upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi series. His return is in limited capacity, as the bulk of the show's soundtrack will be headed by Loki composer Natalie Holt, and I really enjoyed the music behind that series for sure. Here is a quote from Natalie stating, Obi-Wan is a legacy character that John hadn't written a theme for because he died quite early on in A New Hope. Very interesting to think about that, right? When you put that into perspective. She went on to say, though, it's the only legacy character that he hadn't done. So he spoke to Lucasfilm's president, Kathleen Kennedy, and said, I just want to write Benny a theme. So who can deny him that? And he did. He wrote the Obi theme, and it just embodies the spirit of the show entirely. Holt will also be the first female composer to compose original work for a Star Wars project as well. So that's pretty awesome. But I mean, Jeff, did you ever? I mean, we have all these themes that come in for each character within the Star Wars cinematic universe, and I've never sat there and even thought about the fact that Obi-Wan never had his own theme music.
I didn't think about that either, because John Williams is magic no matter what he does, and it just encompasses everything. And I'm psyched, even based off of the trailer we saw, where we had old school we had OG trilogy mixed with prequel soundtrack. It was incredible. So the fact that he's coming back, and obviously Holt, I think, is going to build off of what he's already built within the Star Wars universe. We're going to get a lot of that kind of nostalgic feel. I'm so psyched for that. I am absolutely excited for that. So, but in addition, we also have some images here. Total Film has two amazing covers here. Obviously, the left, it looks like he's on that planet off Tatooine. And on the right is his lightsaber. So that's exciting. And then also, this is pretty cool too, right here. This banner teasing the next round actually the first round, technically, of Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader. Wouldn't that be right, Chris?
Yep.
So round one, who knows how many rounds they've had before their final one on the Death Star, but this is really cool, man. This image is just everything. Holy shit. I absolutely love this image. So again, super exciting stuff. One more thing, Chris, I guess we can cover on the news here, because we already did Ezra Miller during our technical difficulties, and thank you again for all of your patience. Why don't we just quickly talk about Moon Knight episode 4? I'm, I'd like you to start, actually, Chris.
Well, I will say that it was a bit out there, right? Which I think was a positive thing. It was a little hard for me to follow what was going on when they, not to give too much away, but they're in Egypt and they're on this kind of Indiana Jones hunt, and it was a little hard to follow, like why this was this was going to do this and this did that and everything. But I think, and I got to watch it again. I only watched it once, but outside of that, look, and something didn't happen in this episode that I think a lot of people are probably going to be upset about. I mean, they didn't even have this in that episode. I won't say what it is, Jeff. You probably know exactly what I'm talking about, but it's like the same thing that I keep telling folks. These shows, we can't get Disney can't win. Either they're too formulaic, that all they do is just follow a formula. It's like, here comes a superhero, boom, boom, action, joke, 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 boom, boom, action, cliche, bad guy gets defeated, boom. Then they start shifting it up and doing things that have like never been done before with their Disney Plus series. And it's like, where's the action? Where's the fighting? Where's the costumes? It's like, what do you want? So I am still very, very impressed with this show. I'm still very impressed with the acting, Oscar Isaac, and what he's continually doing episode to episode is amazing. That end of this episode left me like, okay, again, like what's happening here? Because at that point, I'm like, I don't even know, but it's okay that I don't know,
Yeah, it's wild, man. It's right up there with how weird WandaVision was. WandaVision kind of settled down and brought us back into the real world or the MCU world. But it's out there, and I love everything about it. I love the tone that they've set up. I love how you're not even sure if you can trust what's going on. Like, right. That's so much fun. And we have 2 more episodes left. And I say, like, guys, just enjoy the ride. I don't know what you're complaining about. It's a very kind of, the show has so much substance and depth to it. And they haven't even hit upon, which I thought they would. I'm a little disappointed that they didn't, but the dissociative ID disorder, that's something, obviously he has multiple personalities, but they haven't hit upon that a little bit more and kind of set it to be, right. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes. And let me say something. So, it's watching it with people that know nothing about Moon Knight. And I'm like, do you guys want to know what, no, I don't tell me.
And by the way, we're not spoiling anything here, so don't worry about it.
Right, yeah, but it's not a spoiler to say that Moon Knight has multiple personality disorder, right? So they didn't even want to know that. So I can imagine going into the show not even knowing that, not even knowing about the comics, knowing that, like it. I think it's kind of cool, right? Because it adds a whole another layer of mystery where we knowing that, we could be conscious of, okay, when are they gonna shed that to light? But with the way that episode 4 ended, I think it brings even more mystery because at least we see what's happening and say, okay, this is relative to his disorder. But if you don't know, then you're like, what really is going on? Even more so than us, because even me knowing that bit about the character, I still don't even, like you said, know what to trust about what's going on.
Yeah, that keeps us on edge, on our toes. I have a feeling that the next 2 episodes are going to get nutty, and that's exciting. So that right there, guys, is our Moon Knight 4 episode reaction, or Moon Knight episode 4 reaction. And we'll talk more about it next week without giving away spoilers. I think we do a pretty good job of that. You know what else we do a pretty good job of is this thing that Chris does. It's called the top 10 look back, props, or flops. We take the top 10 hottest comics of the week from Cover Price, which they deliver on a Monday. Our show's on a Sunday, obviously. So that's a nice week for Chris to kind of decipher all of the information, the numbers, the sales, etc. by the end of the week and see if any of these books He'll pick 3 books here and see if they're props or flops from the list. But right now, Chris, why don't we just get into the list real quick, and then we'll get into your props or flops. At number 10, we have Batman. I'm sorry. At number 10, we have Black Panther number 3, the first appearance of Tosin. At number 9, we have Sandman Universe Nightmare Country number 1, the Jenny Frison 1 in 100 cover. That thing shot up quick. Number 8, we have Spider Punk number 1, the Takashi Okazaki 1 in 50. At number 7, we have Strange Academy 16, the first full appearance of Howie. At number 6, we have Battlestar Galactica number 1. At number 5, we have Amazing Spider-Man 93, the Patrick Gleason variant of Chasm. Number 4, we have Spider-Man 2099 number 1. At number 3, we have Doctor Strange 48, the first meeting of Doctor Strange and Brother Voodoo. At number 2, we have Moon Knight number 1. And at number 1, we have Batman Beyond the White Knight number 1. First cameo appearance of a new Robin, and this had some release issues, day of release or week of release issues, and I'm surprised it's at number 1, to be honest with you. So Chris, interesting top 10 list, a nice mix, I would say, more DC than normal, which is what we want to see here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Battlestar Galactica, which you kind of have a connection to,
still up there.
Yeah. So, but you have 3 here that you are most interested in to dissect and tell us if it's props or flops.
I will say this book isn't on my list. It almost made it, but it's the Doctor Strange 48, the first team up of or the first meeting between Doctor Strange and Brother Voodoo. I think this is a really, really awesome book to talk about. I hope it's on next week's list, because if it is, I'll probably pick it for one of my top 3. But I thought these 3 that I picked were really interesting to talk about, because it's not just books that I champion. It's books that are interesting that might lean to props or flops. So my number 3 pick is Black Panther number 3, first appearance of Tosin Oduye. Okay, let's look at this book. Now, here's a funny thing, guys. You want to know something? I've been picking up Black Panther on my pull list. It's not technically a pull list. I just go and I order the previews orders from my comic shop 3 months in advance. And for some reason, I didn't pick this up. Shoot myself in the foot. But let's look at these numbers. 170% upward trend in sales when it hit the top 10 last week. Now, I crunched numbers as of today, folks. So when we look at this week's numbers, that's as of today. That is relevant to right now. So last week's high 9.8 sale, when it hit the top 10, was a $300 sale. This week, which was on the 21st, so that was just 3 days ago, was $299.99, another $300 sale. So there was a couple in between there that sold for like $240, $250, but you get an idea there of how that book's moving in a 9.8. Now, the raw average when it hit the top 10 last week was at 53. Now, I want you guys to keep this in mind, because I always say an average raw, take with a grain of salt, because it doesn't consider grade. This is a practically brand new book that's only been out for a few months. So you're going to probably assume that most of these are at least, are high grade. I couldn't imagine there being books on the market under a very fine of these right now. So you can actually gauge these average raws a little more smoothly, I think. $53 next to this week's average raw, but it was only a few books, 61. So if you look down at the bottom there where it says there were 16 units sold last week when it hit the top 10, there was only 3 raw sold this week. So, take that again. This week's average raw is $61 with a little bit of grain of salt. If there was more volume on the market this week, it may reflect differently. I don't think this book is going to return to the top 10 for this week's, because it only sold 3 raw copies. Okay, props or flops. I was just recently on Swagglehouse's roundtable chat with a bunch of other amazing YouTubers, and we talked about this book. We compared it, to certain other modern books, and we know, or if you don't know, Bleeding Cool, when this book was coming out, released an article stating that Tosin is going to be the next Miles Morales. And that's really what drove this book up so high, so fast. And while if you read that article, they talked about how they have inside information about Marvel's plans for this character. And it's from that information that they were saying, making this comparison, because they're saying that he's not going to be like the Black Panther or the king of Wakanda like T'Challa, but he is going to be this major Black Panther character in Wakanda that, is that next generation. It's going to have just so much, I think, story and mythos around him. So it kind of leaves me weary, though, because there's a lot riding on one outlet, Bleeding Cool, really making this book what it is on the market today and since it came out. So, do I give this book props or flops? Do I think this book is worth $300 and a 9.8? Do I think this book is worth $50+ in a raw copy? I'm going to give this book flops right now because I don't think it is. I don't. I think that if that article never came out and we didn't have any quote unquote inside information, I think this character in this book would have got hot and it would have peaked a little bit, but then it would have already cooled off some. But here's where I'm going to play devil's advocate with myself. And Jeff, I want you to hear me out here because I know you're going to have some things to say about this. But we know, and you've heard me say this, Jeff, and the audience too. We know that Kevin Feige is in charge of what's going on the comic book side of Marvel as well now. And I've said this a bunch of times, Jeff. Over the last 10+ years, Marvel has taken from the movies and regurgitated it, chewed it up, spit it back out and try to chew it up again with everything that's going on in the movies. And then they try to recycle it in the comic books after the fact. When we want the comic books to tell the stories and then the movies to reflect what had happened in the comic books and not vice versa. We don't want the movies to make their own stuff and then the comic books to, piggyback off of that. I think this is a great, great opportunity, especially, unfortunately, with what's happened with Chadwick Boseman passing and what they're going to do with the character in the MCU, especially with knowing they're going to carry on the stories of Wakanda with the Wakanda TV show, showing the stories of other people from Wakanda. Kevin Feige absolutely has the power to build this character up with get some good writers behind it, some good stories behind this character in the comics, canon to the comics, and then bring those stories in the MCU. So I know I'm kind of like not necessarily breaking the rules, but I'm not being black and white here with the props or flops. I give this book flops simply because I think this is a book that if I was trying to buy, even raw, I'm going to sit on it more. I'm going to sit on it more. And I think focus is going to shift from this book some. But Jeff, while I don't know if he'll ever be truly compared or be comparable to Miles Morales, if they build this character up in the comics and bring him properly into the MCU, this book could continue to blow past what it's at right now. So, hey, 6 months, a year from now, I could be eating my own words on saying flops to this book right now and a pass on it. I don't know.
I'll tell you what. I agree with your flops, and I'm going to play devil's advocate too. I think it's a good spec book because what you said, sounds like they're setting up a strong Wakandan character, right? Maybe. But here's the deal. Think about this. That was issue 3. He wasn't in issue 4. He was in 2 panels in issue 5. Also, it was overhyped. You don't go out there saying that, like, this is the next Miles Morales. I mean, Bleeding Cool, they're very divisive, but they should know that they have some power, and influence, things like that. And that's why this book is where it is. You said that. And I agree with you. I'm not paying $300 for a 9.8. I am not paying $60 for a raw copy. No way. But these prices are going to come down, right? And if you see it in the 20 or below, think about it. I would say, because it is a decent spec book, definitely.
Right.
That's what I would say about that. So,
Yep.
All right, moving on.
Fair step.
You have your second book, most interesting
All
book
right.
off this list. Is it a
Second
prop or a
book.
flop?
Spider-Punk. Spider-Punk. Number 1, Takashi Okazaki, 1 in 50 variant. I love the artwork. What do you think of that cover, Jeff? You like that cover?
I do. I do like that cover because this character's just out there, man. Like, and I think this cover, I think that the art lends to how out there this character is. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I feel you. I think it's just like how they did the animation on the Into the Spider-Verse and how it really brought those characters to life. It set a tone. I feel you with this too. I think this kind of sets a tone for this character.
Yeah.
I dig it. Yeah, let's look at what this book is doing. It had 186% upward trend in sales last week when it hit the top 10. Okay, and then that week when it hit that top 10, a high raw sold for $230. Wow. This week, the high raw was for $199. That is a 13% decrease in value. But I always say, don't get caught up on highs. Don't just get caught up on highs. Last week's average raw when it hit the top 10 was 146. This week, 167. So, hey, I'm showing you guys right there. Why not get caught up on highs? Because look at this. When you average out the raws, and again, this is a brand new book. Most of these copies have to be around the near mint range. Very fine and near mint to 9.8 qualifying near mint, right? That's a 14% increase when you take the averages. Now, I do apologize, folks. Don't mind the units sold down there. That was for the last book we talked about. I'm sorry, guys. I still need to be a better editor and proof my stuff. But I will say this, though, there was less sold this week than there was last week when it hit the top 10, but not to that degree. Here's what I think of this book. Props or flops? I'm going to come straight out and say it. I'm giving this book flops. Now, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, and I love the Spider Totem, and I love all these different Spider characters. I'm not one to say, oh, it's oversaturating the market. Spider-Man this, Spider that, Spider Pig, Spider-Man, Spider-Ham, Spider Slam, Spider Spam, whatever the case. Spider Punk, Spider Funk. I'm all for it, man. I am all for it. But here's my thing with this book. This issue 1, first solo title, sure. It's not even the first appearance of the character. And while it is a 1 in 50 variant with a pretty cool cover, pretty, punk rock cover, man. This is going to be a book to me that is going to be forgotten. It's just going to be forgotten 5-10 years from now. I just don't see enough people going out there and saying, I'm going to pay over $200 freaking dollars for this book. Raw. I don't see it happening. And I say this a lot because I follow the trends of variants a lot. Incentive variants often peak high and dip low. One way to recognize these things is if you guys ever check out Midtown Comics, which I don't support them. I don't support them anymore for the most part. They will often, though, have blowout variant sales. And it'll be like 60 to 75% off of exclusive and incentive variants. And you got these comic books that are priced to like $50, $80, and they're 60, 75% off. Because you hit that, you hit those spots in time where just the focus on these books is shifted. Now, is it okay for somebody to pay this type of money for this book? I'm not hating on you if you do. And I've said this before, and Jeff, I'll say this again. I do believe that there are people out there that are willing to pay this premium just because they want to make sure they get their hands on this book because they love the artwork. So many collectors out there will pay a premium for a variant simply because they collect variants because of the art. And if they can live with that, then that's perfectly fine. And some people will say, well, guess what? I have the money to blow. Maybe in 6 months from now, this book will only be selling for $80. But I want to spend $200 on it because I want it right now. And nobody is going to tell me otherwise. And that's okay too. But I'm giving this book a flops. If you're looking at this book as an investment or anything like that, in my humble opinion, it just ain't happening.
That's a good point right there. Chris, can I just kind of be vanilla and be like, I can't say either way? Because variants like this, it's like a person's taste, and it's what you said. If that person wants it right now, paying $230 for it, you and I say it all the time. If it's worth it to you to pay that much money, then pay that much money.
Right.
I wouldn't personally. I don't love this cover enough. I'm not in love with the character, but I can't give it a props or a flops. Spec value, or I would say it's a flop, but like, again, it's a unique character, and you have a lot of people out there that maybe it's creating a new niche, and it's, people are going to be all on board. So that's all I could say about that. I'm not going to get too into it. This is mostly your segment anyway, so I can get away with that.
No, adding that context, and it makes a lot of sense, and that's why it's funny. If you guys hear me talk a lot, stuff isn't always black and white. So even though we're doing a props or flop show, when we have to pick, left or right, or it's still there's depth to this stuff, and there's so many different ways of collecting. Like you said, how are we even gauging? What are we giving it props on? What are we giving it flops on? Are we giving it flops because we think it's a horrible character and just a bad story? Or are we giving it flops because of the value and the speculation narrative? And I will add for context, and Jeff, I think you can agree, the segment is more built on the, looking at it from both a speculative and an investment standpoint, right? So, but you bring up a lot of good points, because I do think this character has absolutely great potential, that there could be some really good cult followers of the character. There could be some good stories that come out of it. But when it just comes to the value of this book holding, I just don't see it.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, we got one more book here from this list. What do you got?
All right. This book I think it's been 3 weeks that this book has been on the top 10 list, and it hit number 1 today, so I had to pick it. I had to pick it for my number 1. Plus, some DC love. Batman Beyond the White Knight, number 1. Let's talk about it, folks. This is a first appearance of a new Robin. Not much detail yet, and technically, just to make sure we have all the proper context there, it was a cameo. It was in cameo. This book, when it hit the top 10 last week, had 101% upward trend in sales. It hit that top 10 with a high raw of $22. This week's high raw was $20. So again, a brand new book, high raw. So you're probably looking at high near mint grades. So, not too bad on the highs there, $2 difference. But then when we look at these raws, oh shoot, another error. That's supposed to say $19. God, I'm killing it, guys. I'm killing it.
What's supposed to say 19?
The this week's average raw.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Last week's average raw was 18. This week's average raw was $19, folks. So I apologize again. Oh my gosh, I'm killing it. So there's really been no movement really in both for the highs and for the average. Let's look at this though. There's 2 CGC 9.8 sales that happened, and I'm going to look at this. First one was on April 2nd for $120. You can look at that and say, well, that's not too bad. $30 to grade the book when you consider fees and shipping and all that, roughly. And then, a book that's selling for $20 right now, I'm not too mad about this selling for $120. But then 10 days later, you had a book go for over double, $260. Now, I don't know if those are pre-order 9.8 sales or somehow some people got them back already, whatever the case may be. But that's troubling to me. That's very troubling to me because you could still buy this book in 9.8 potential for about 20 bucks. So let's figure this out. You can buy 10 books that are probably 9.8 candidates for about 200 bucks right now. And you could spend less than you would on that CGC 9.8. You could take 3 of those and send them out, three to 4 of them, and send them out to CGC and pay about $60 to get them graded. So now you bought 10 raw copies. You got 4 coming back from CGC. And you spent the same amount of money. And if one of those books comes back a 9.8 and you can now sell it for $260 or even just say $200, you are making bank. I mean, hey, you know, in terms of percentage wise and return on investment, right? If 2 come back, man, 2 come back 9.8, it makes no sense that there's somebody out there willing to pay $200+ for a brand new book, for a book that's selling for $18, $19, $20, $21, $22 in 9.8 candidate grade. It makes absolutely no freaking sense. Now, before I give it my props or flops, Jeff, I want you to jump in and just talk about that, looking at it from that perspective. Like, for me, it makes no sense. How about for you?
I agree. It doesn't make much sense either. I think, and again, I'm going to go back to the reason why this book is still. It was the distribution issues where people, I think, on the West Coast had problems getting this book, and everybody went into a mad scramble, and it kind of elevated this book. That's why I think where it is where it is. I think they rectified that and had copies delivered later the next week. So I think it's a false kind of sense of demand. I don't think that I have this book. I haven't read it yet. But I don't think that it's like, because this is what the Murphy verse, which is not even the proper DC, DC universe. So I agree with you.
Yeah, and then to your point, let's say that that's what's going on, and that's what's driving this book in a raw copy to sell for $20. But still, even with that price, why are you paying $260?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you may have missed out because of the distribution issues of getting this for cover price, but you can still buy it in a 9.8 potential for $20, but you're paying $260 for that 9.8. It makes no sense. So here's the thing, guys. I gave my first 2 books flops. Is this going to be the first props or flops where I give all 3 books flops? Well, guess what, guys? I'm going to give this book props.
Ooh, interesting.
I am. Interesting, right? And here's the thing. Here's the thing why. And again, what you were saying for the last book, Jeff, it's not black and white. Whoever bought this book in a 9.8 for $260, I'm giving you flops. All right? You there. You, whoever you are, if you're watching, you paying over $200 for this book in a 9.8, floppity flop, flippity flop. Horrible. Horrible. But for this book right now, to pay $20 for it, I'm going to give this book props. And let me give you a couple of reasons why. One, Jeff, like you said, if it was a distribution issue, I've done this before. If there's a book that I want that I don't get for cover price or whatever, and I got to pay a little bit more. And what's the cover price of this book? I think it's I think it was a $6.99 cover price?
I could go pull it out. It's a nice glossy book though.
Yeah, yeah. So I've done that before. I miss a book for $3.99. Maybe I'll buy it on eBay for $7 plus $4 shipping or something. I'm not mad about it. Same thing could be said with this book. Maybe people really wanted this book. They want to read it. They're interested in the story. They're interested about this new Robin. And we all know that Batman is that guy for DC. Batman always sells. So I'm not mad at you for paying $18, $19, $20 for this book, regardless if it'll hold that value or not. But here's another thing of why I'm giving this book props. Batman does sell extremely well. When all else fails for DC, Batman continues to sell. And even in an age where there's so much speculation, even within the comic books outside of, movie spec, a lot of these first appearances of characters, they hit these top 10 lists. They're up there for a week or two and then they go away and people forget about them. People tend to remember more, especially with DC Comics, these new characters that have been introduced in Batman comics. And I think there is definitely potential for whatever's going on in this story arc and for this new Robin to continue to draw attention for months or some years to come. Now, does this mean this book is going to be worth hundreds of dollars? No. Does it mean that it could be worth more than 20 at some point? I think it could. So there's definitely something here for this book, and it's not hitting a raw price that's really concerning me, especially with the circumstances that you brought up, Jeff, about people just struggling to get this book when it came out. So I'm not mad at any of those things, but the only thing I'm mad at is the $260 9.8 sale. Shame. I'm just joking about the shame, but
they should be actually. All right. So my thoughts on this. First off, it is a $4.99 book.
$4.99. Okay.
It's interesting. It's ages 17 plus. I haven't read it yet, so I don't know. Maybe it's a darker kind of read. I don't know, man. I can't give this props. I don't think this has any kind of hit in the Batman mythos. I haven't read it. I'm talking shit right now. That's kind of ignorant of me, actually. Wow. But it's like an alternative kind of universe. Who knows where it's going to go, what's going to happen. And the only reason it was on people's radar last minute, other than maybe people who are fans of the Murphyverse, has been the distribution issues. I'm going to give it, I wouldn't pay $20 for this. I'm going to give it flops on that. I don't think there's any spec value or investment value that goes with it. Yeah. That's my opinion.
Just to be clear, because we just talked about the mostly spec and investment value. If you hear me out, guys, and what I'm saying, I give this book props simply because I understand why it made the list, and Jeff keeps iterating that. And I'm not mad at people loving Batman because they do, because Batman always sells, and wanting to pay $20 for this. I'm not giving this props to tell you to go invest in it. Although, like I said, and I'll repeat, and sorry I think I cut you off, Jeff, but I'm not saying that this book can't, be of, it has more ability to stay in people's minds down the long road than, say, a Spider-Punk variant, should I say.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. Although Spider-Punk makes it into the new Spider-Man, across the universe. You know what I mean?
There yep.
Who knows, dude? By the way, Dale McNown, yes, I am. Good eyes right there. You win tonight. We don't have a prize for that, though. Again, I'll go with flops on this. So I got 2 flops and kind of incomplete. You got 2 flops and a props. So that was a fun top 10 look back props or flops. We'll have a new list next week where Chris dissects it and gives you his 3 most interesting picks, and if they're props or flops. But we will be moving on, Chris, to our next segment that everybody knows and loves. If you could just introduce it for us, that would be dandy.
Man, we took a week off, but we're still fresh from the comic shop.
Live from the pressing salon. That is right. We still do the work, even though we were off last week. We will announce the semifinalists from last week tonight as well. Don't you worry. But we ask you, the audience, to send in your fresh gets for Fresh from the Comic Shop. They could be 2 days old. They could be 30 years old. As long as they're fresh in your collection, we want to see them. And on top of that, you can win an amazing prize courtesy of, who is it, Chris?
EGS, baby.
That is right. EGS. And this month's book is
Look at that
giant size Black Cat variant with the Infinity Gauntlet right there. Look how gorgeous that thing is. And if you'll notice up at the top label, there is an Infinity Gauntlet. Now, Chris, why don't you explain what EGS is to our fine viewers?
All right, guys, if you are looking for another grading company to send your books off to be certified, slabbed, and graded, guys, check out EGS. Their website is in the description below. Now, on top of just providing your standard certification services, they also offer those awesome custom labels. I mean, you see one right there, the nice, clean black custom label on the Black Cat book with the Infinity Gauntlet there to match the cover. So definitely check them out, guys. A couple things. Now, we do have a discount promo code to talk about in a minute here, but I want to remind everyone, if you want to be entered into Fresh from the Comic Shop to have a chance to win our monthly EGS slabs, you have to be following EGS on Instagram at EGS Comics. And again, that's below. You have to subscribe to their YouTube channel, which again is below. And then you submit your fresh gets on the IG as usual. But for anyone interested in checking their website, sending some books to EGS and making a purchase, you can save 5% off of your order by using the code Canon5. So again, those optional custom labels that you see a lot of them there on They obviously still have the blue universal label as well. You get free grader notes with every single book, no matter the grade. Definitely fast turnaround times. So, guys, check them out. Website link is below. Save 5% using that Canon5 code.
Awesome stuff. We also always receive awesome stuff from you all, too. We're just going to get into it right now. We had 4 books that really stuck out to us from last week. So we're just going to get into actually, before we do that, we want to announce our finalists. Nerds Being Geeks with that amazing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Right. Nerds Being Geeks is going to go against the finalist or the winner of the semifinals from this week coming up. So we'll have the finals next week and we'll announce that who's going to win that giant size Black Cat number 1. But we're going to get into 4 picks we have from last week's submissions. Again, remember, we didn't have a show due to me being under the weather. So right now, let's just get into it. We got, again, these are last week's books. Geek Stock Comics. This person, they're new. I haven't seen them before. We really appreciate you sending it in. I'm not typically into celebrity comic book signatures, but with this John Bernthal photo variant, being a big fan of him as the Punisher and him being at the Comic-Con that my son and I attended this past weekend, I couldn't pass it up. I couldn't pass up the opportunity to meet him and get his autograph on a recent pickup. Great weekend and experience with my son. Really hoping for more Bernthal Punisher in the future. That is a great get right there. Geek Stock Comics. Next up, we have Super Rad Comics. Shout out to Journal Comics for getting this beauty to me safe and sound. I never win anything, but I did win this in the raffle, and all I had to do was buy comic books to be entered. Now, that's a win-win. Make sure you catch Chris on future Whatnot sales. That's true. Chris will let y'all know when the next one is. Next up, we have good friend of the show, Azores Tiger. How about Wonder Woman Wednesday? He tagged Comic Ozzy and Actual Dracula. Wonder Woman number 207. While on the hunt for Wonder Woman 205, he found the second appearance of Nubia. So good stuff right there. And finally, from last week, we have Son of Comics, my Street Fighter collection by the great Delato. I grew up playing Street Fighter, so how can anyone pass up owning these books by Delato? I'm blessed to have these in my collection. All right, Chris, so we had those 4. It was unanimous between Chris and I. We have to say congratulations to Geek Stock Comics. You'll be moving on to the semifinals, and you'll be going against somebody from tonight. That's right, tonight.
Yes.
Why don't we just get into tonight? How about it, everybody? Sound good? All right, first up, we got E. Marvell. Thanks to Heat Seeker Comics for the awesome covers. Okay, so I got my copy of issue 21, and I'm not going to read it yet. I'm going to wait until I get the other copy I ordered. They're limited to 900 copies. I got 614 and 615 out of 900. Man, I want to read this book. But he is going to wait, but that is good stuff. That is a beautiful looking cover. And again, E. Marvell, Great job. Before we continue, though, we forgot to tell you the criteria for submitting and entering the contest. We want to see presentation. We want to see a nice, well-composed shot. Make it interesting. Have fun. Get creative. As you can see, E. Marvell likes to play with lights right there, and those lights really do well and complement the book. We want to see a unique book. That doesn't mean it has to be $30,000, but just give us something unique that we haven't seen before. We've seen a lot of those. And finally, give us a story. What this particular book means to you, to your heart, to your family, as it relates to you as a collector. We want to see and hear those things. So keep those in mind, because Chris and I are going to keep those in mind as we judge these submissions. Sorry, guys. We, appreciate you all paying, being patient and with the technical difficulties and my sickness. I'm not on top of things like I usually am, but we appreciate you being here. All right, moving on. We got Carcom US. The Woods, Volume 1, Number 1, signed by James Tinian IV. This book came out like almost 10 years ago, I feel like, and I didn't know it was Tinian. That's pretty cool. All right, moving on. We got a second submission for Son of Comics. That's this week. Buckhead, Number 1, the 1 in 10 Sabaya variant, and Boom, Buckhead, Number 1, the 1 in 25 fan variant. This story was good. It reminded me of Men in Black and Ready Player One. A great read. I see us heading towards a reality like what's in this book. I haven't heard of this series, but I may check it out because that sounds quite interesting to me. Super Red Comics was back again this week as well. I've been working on some early Animal Man appearances lately. He's such a fun character that gets hardly any love. At least the lack of interest keeps these books dirt cheap. He is a classic character, especially with that. I think Alan Moore took a stab at him and really kind of made it more mature. So that is quite interesting as well. Chris, what is your first fresh get of the week? What do you got?
All right. So
what's going on with your Batman?
Oh yeah, that's Dale. Dale's art. He sent me these as a gift.
Beautiful.
So, yeah, pretty awesome stuff, right? I'm going to pay it forward and give this away in a contest. And Jeff, if you didn't catch this.
Oh, get out of here. Who did that?
That's from Dale.
Oh, wow. that is awesome.
I'm keeping the Tupac stuff.
Hell yeah, that's really nice, man.
But yep. So, all right. And now for my gets this week, there's going to be a viewer. I don't know if they're here tonight, but they're going to be really happy about my books. I have a theme going on. And my first one here is nothing too crazy. Really, I love what they did with this cover. Marvel Triple Action number 2. With Doom.
Oh, yeah.
Silver Surfer in Fantastic Four. This reprints is Fantastic Four 57, where Doom takes Silver Surfer's powers. And I love these because, first, I love the early 20-cent books that have like the border.
Mm-hmm.
And they used original art instead of just, taking the original cover art, and just awesome freaking covers on these, man.
That is really nice, man. That is a nice pickup right there. Speaking of nice pickups, we're going to move on to check out all of your good stuff. Marvel Man 616. Hulk 6, featuring the first appearance of Titan Hulk persona. This is the spoiler variant cover. A lot of this is, again, Donny Cates is definitely divisive. This has gotten a lot of love and a lot of hate at the same time. I stopped reading, I think, after issue 4. I can't. It just doesn't interest me in the least. I'm loving this right here. Marvel vs. DC. I picked these up recently. Missed them the first time around. Look at this. The glow-in-the-dark Return of Wolverine.
Nice.
Obviously, it's the same book, but we see that glow-in-the-dark image. That is beautiful right there. All right, moving on. We got Comic Demon. Happy 420. As you all know, Wednesday was 420. Happy 420 to my fellow Devil's Lettuce disciples out here in Hazelville. Looking forward to reading The Secret History of the War on Weed and then rereading because I forgot I read it. And so here's today's Fresh in the Comic Shop grabs. Not a lot to read, but damn, the cover junkie in me had to get a lot of these sweet covers. He had more, obviously, but this is the most creative out of all of them. That stuck out to me again. So good stuff. I don't smoke. Chris, I know you don't smoke, but we applaud everybody who does and enjoys it. Moving on. Nerds being geeks. You're already in the semifinals, but he did it again. Look at this.
Oh,
Raphael #1, written and drawn by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, the first miniseries from the Teenage Mutant Ninja team, and the first appearance of Casey Jones. I finally got this back from CGC after 16-month wait. I talk about my full experience with CGC and the quality of the case in my newest video. By the way, Nerds Being Geeks, a link is down below. Good stuff, really good stuff. I have to say, I do like your finalist photo a little bit better, submission a little bit better, but this is still good nonetheless. Moving on, we got Into Oblivion. Punisher #1, the second print variant cover art by Alex Maleev, series with the Punisher as a warlord for the Hand. I love this cover. That cover is just outstanding. Good stuff right there. All right, my first fresh get of the week, guys. I just popped into my comic shop and literally was in a daze. So it's all new stuff pretty much. It's Darth Vader #22. These Darth Vader covers, I mean, stop it. Like literally, what the hell? Every cover A's are just incredible. Yes. Absolutely incredible. Look how badass he looks. I love it.
The most iconic villain in history.
I mean, in history, what did you say?
The most iconic villain in history.
I mean, he's up there. He's up there. Like, you can't really argue that. So, anyways, moving on. We got Nukes Comics with.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
Yeah, Siri, I'm not talking. Trouble hearing. We got Nukes Comics. Fresh pickup. I recently picked up the Amazing Spider-Man 266 from DBS. It features Black Suit Spider-Man, the Toad, Frogman, and the Spider Kid. Woo, he says. This is, man, I don't know. Like, this is a little bit before my time of collecting, but it just takes me back to when I was collecting with these covers. Just so exciting. I love it, Nuke. Great stuff indeed. Raw Dog Comics. Chris, this cover is awesome. Fresh from the comic shop, Philadelphia #20. This Image comic run has some amazing covers, and this is one of them. I'm literally surrounded by comic books every day, and this is one cover that keeps catching my eye and I keep gravitating towards. For now, anyway. Chris and Jeff, you guys are doing it right. Please keep up the great work. We love gathering around the inner tube Sunday nights and look forward to your show all week. If this were props or flops, we give you guys props. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you so much, Raw Dog, for the kind words. We really appreciate you. I appreciate this. That cover's awesome. I haven't been reading this series at all. Is that cover A? Do you know?
I don't think so, because it's the Bronze Age throwback,
so good,
straight dress.
So good. All right. What is your second fresh get of the week, Chris?
All right. I told you there's a certain viewer. There's a certain viewer who's going to be liking what I'm doing. I got Iron Man #149, Doom Quest, and you can see that there's Iron Man in the reflection of an eye of
so good.
Dr. Doom.
Dr. Doom.
That's sick.
Cover junkie. Cover junkie indeed.
So far, Doom stuff, right?
Yo, is that a Bob Layton cover? I love that.
It is J.R. Jr.
Oh, really? Interesting. That's a great looking cover right there. Yeah. So good stuff on that. Good stuff indeed. All right, we got Azores Tiger again. Was tagged by Tivo 14 for first appearance Friday. As you guys all know, Lords of the Long Box. They put out some good content out there. So here's Fantastic Four #19. First appearance of Pharaoh Rama Tut, later revealed to be Kang the Conqueror. Also, Stan Lee first uses the phrase "Nuff said" in the special announcement section. That's interesting right there. Shout out to Dan De La Torre. Hope we see him in Moon Knight. Not Dan. I'm sure Dan's not in Moon Knight. I'm sure he's talking Rama Tut. After already getting the Easter egg. Good stuff indeed. Yeah. Be cool to see Dan De La Torre. Moving on, we got 7kids.comics. Recent pickups for upcoming MegaCon signings, Silvestri and Art Germ. And a book I've wanted for a while, the McFarlane Bozeman sketch. By the way, he had a bunch of submissions. We just chose this one. All for under $10 total. I love this one, though. That's got to be Jim Lee, am I right?
Looks like it.
Yeah, maybe it's Silvestri. I don't know. But anyways, good stuff, man. Good stuff indeed. All right, my second fresh get of the week. Again, not exciting. And by the way, I'm reading these on Unlimited, Marvel Unlimited, but this is such a cool cover. Moon Knight number 10. How cool is this cover?
Man, I need to be picked. Oh, I picked up the third print of that.
The third of this? There's a third print?
Second, sorry.
I was like, whoa, okay.
Yep.
That escalated. Yeah, this isn't McNiven. I'm not sure who it is. I'm not sure if McNiven stopped doing those covers. But that is great. Another great pickup on my part, I'd have to say. I enjoy reading.
I wonder if the second print has the same cover.
It is the same cover. I remember seeing that. I was just a little shocked when you said third print. All right, moving on. We got C to the G. Came across the Silver Age gem from 1968 featuring a timeless Steranko cover. The Hulk battles the Inhumans. The Hulk King Size Special #1. Edit. Just watched Como Comic Books, by the way, former guest on the canon. And this issue was in his latest video comics to invest in before it's too late. Series spring 2022. No investment here, just going straight to the PC. I love it. I love it indeed. I love it, love it, love it indeed. All right, Chris, your third fresh get of the week as we wind things down here.
All right. Cover Junkies, Louis Logics. I themed it out. I seriously.
Damn, dude, you did.
I had some other options, but I said, you know what? I'm doing this for Louis. Louis. All right, Submariner number 48.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. The light's a little. There we go. Boom. Look at that. And who knows? We might see both of these characters in the Black Panther 2 movie. Oh, no.
Correct. I mean, everybody's pretty sure that Submariner's going to be in the next Black Panther film. We'll see. I'm not quite sure myself. I can't tell you one person who'd be like, nah, we don't want to see Namor at all. Right. Like, seriously? No, that's not the case. All right, moving on. We got the Bearded One, bottom tier collector. He hasn't submitted in a long time, but we're glad he did. It feels good to participate in Comic Book Canon's special community participation segment, fresh from the comic shop after forgetting to submit for months. This week's submission is fresh from my local convention. I found a Howard the Duck #1, first solo book. To the right is Sandman 47, first cameo of Daniel Hall as Sandman, Wolverine #10, and last but certainly not least, to proudly go into my historical bust collection, is Superman 75, the temporary death of Superman. I mean, how many people purchased that thinking that they were going to put their kids through college, Chris? Oh my God.
1.2 million.
It was a big one. It was a big one. But you know what? Those are some good pickups right there too. The Howard the Duck and the Wolverine #10 are ones that stick out to me. I don't know much about Sandman, but it sounds like you got a first appearance there, maybe. So good stuff right there. All right. And finally, good friend of the show. And by the way, if I missed any submissions, I stopped looking at 4:30 p.m. Usually I stop looking at 5 p.m. So please don't hate me. That's Eastern time too, by the way. Mark Leneker, Savage Tales, featuring Conan the Barbarian #2. Wonderfully savage cover by John Buscema and notable for the first comic adaptation of Robert E. Howard's 1936 Conan story, Red Nails. One of his most popular stories. It took 2.5 years between the release of issue 1 in 1971 and issue 2 because the publisher at Marvel was leery about non-code releases, even in comic magazines. The series restarted after he left. Mark, always good for a juicy nugget of information. All right, here's my third fresh get of the week. I've been talking. I showed you guys last episode. I showed you guys the latest issue. This is the one before. I didn't realize I didn't have it, but I'm glad I did. I love this series, guys, and I really would hope you would read it. It's A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance #5. So good, Rick Remender. This art, I'm not Andre Lima Arujo. I'm not familiar with this person's work other than this series, and it is incredible. It really is a great read. I highly recommend this book. I was happy to find 5 on the shelves. I didn't have to go order it online, so that was good. All right.
What's going on in that story now? again? I think you told us before, but
It's basically it's an easy read. There's not many words, which I'm not saying that words are detriment to any sort of story. The art is incredible, and it kind of follows along this guy trying to stop kind of a group that's murdering people, and he gets himself way too deep. You don't know what his story is, and you like these issues. You start realizing who he was. You think he was something else. It's really fun. It's really a great read. I have to kind of wow. By the way, Viper GTS 75 Righteous Revenge is told in the city I live in. Oh, so you live in Canada. That's good stuff, man. Really, really, I love it, love it, love it. All right, so Chris, we have to make a decision here.
Yep.
I have 3 books.
Yeah, I think I do too.
Okay. Do you want to go first?
Well, sure. Yeah. One of them is Super Rad again. Has he won?
Super Rad has won, I do believe.
Oh man. Yeah. Do we need to start making a list, huh?
We have a list, but it doesn't
Of
go
who
back.
won?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Super Rad, you like this?
Yeah. You know, I don't know if you know because you didn't you only show one picture, but that is a mural behind him.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, if you look at the book, it just blends right. I know there's a bit of a glare off the Mylar, but it blended right into that neon, and just that mural to be like that, the neon colors popping off of the wall like that is just freaking amazing. Sitting there with that book. So I thought that was a very artistically composed shot and a unique book. I don't think we see too much Strange Adventures.
Totally. By the way, I have an update. Super Rad has not won.
Okay,
Super Rad.
cool.
You have been very creative in your submissions. I'll tell you that. That's why you've hit the finals a couple times.
Yeah.
All right, that is a great book, Chris. I'm going to go with my first pick here. I like C to. I have 3 books. You have 3 books. You said.
Yeah, I think has it C to the G1. He's here.
He has one, so I'm taking that book out. And there we go with that. Chris, your next one. But C to the G, great submission, by the way. Great.
Yeah. I was, when I saw that, and I was like, oh, yep, he's won. So, but that was a good one too. Another one that I had was one Marvel versus DC with the glow in the dark.
Yeah, I like that too. But that is not on my list.
You know, and it's one thing to show the glow in the dark. I mean, to show the book, but to show it in the glow in the dark and to actually be able to capture it on camera, I thought that was very, very good work, because I think it's tough to capture glow in the dark, but just the way that one worked, I mean, you could see just Wolverine's eye and mouth, and then just the claws coming up. Boom.
That's not easy. Yeah, you're right. That is not an easy picture to get. And props to you, one Marvel versus DC. All right. My next one I got is Raw Dog. Because I love this cover, man. I just love this cover. I hadn't seen it before.
Raw Dog one?
Huh?
Has Raw Dog won?
I don't think so.
Is Raw Dog in the house? He was here, right?
I think so.
Because okay.
All right, and then what is your final one here?
Do you got another one?
I have one more.
Well, why don't you say one more, since one of yours got nicked already?
It's Comic Demon. I mean, again, I don't smoke weed, but I got to appreciate the effort that was taken here and how interesting this shot is.
Right.
So,
okay. So Raw Dog has not won yet either. So it's so you did not pick Super Rad. That was a sole pick by me, right?
Correct.
So we'll put that aside, because it's going to be one that we both agree on. So we basically have 2 here, because I was eyeing Raw Dog as well, and Comic Demon as well. Was there one more that I put above that? I know. I think that was it, because my other one was. Did I say one more? Oh yeah, the glow in the dark. You didn't pick the glow in the dark?
I did not. I like it though. I did.
Okay,
I
okay.
definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. I think that was probably my favorite, but I too picked Raw Dog, and I also like Comic Demon. So I think it's gonna come down to Raw Dog or Comic Demon. How do you wanna do this? Do you have a favorite out of those
I
two?
do. I do.
Okay. You wanna say it, and I'll give you if I'm rolling
Yeah,
with that
I'm
or
gonna
not.
have to go
If I
Comic
don't roll
Demon.
with it, then we're gonna have to do something
Yeah,
creative.
I have to go Comic Demon.
Comic Demon.
Yeah.
Man, this is good. This is tough. This is tough. I, I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna agree with you because two things. One, I will say, and Raw Dog's hanging out. Raw Dog, I'm gonna ding you a little bit of points just because we couldn't see the whole book. So I think if Raw Dog's submission had a little bit more of flair to the actual picture,
Yeah,
man, I could have. Yeah, this would have but because I like the book better. I like the book.
I'll agree.
But because Comic Demon had that nice composure, and here's the thing too. I mean, I know we live in a different world today, but I mean, we're not far removed from incriminating yourself when it comes
exactly.
To
I was thinking the same thing.
Marijuana. So it's like I'm so glad that we can just free with expressing ourselves if that is a part of what you do. So I like that. Yeah, we're gonna agree on that one, man.
All right, we're moving on. Comic Demon, you will be going up against Nerds Being Geeks. For that, no, I'm sorry, that's not the case. No, you'll be going up against
The Punisher.
The Punisher one, the Geek Stock Comics. We going up against Geek Stock Comics. And the winner will take on Nerds Being Geeks.
There you go.
So, wow, that right there wraps up Fresh from the Comic Shop. Again, if you guys all want to enter, the important thing you need to do is tag us at FFTCS. Again, we want a well-composed shot. Give us a unique book, and give us a story. What it means to you. It's that simple, and you can win something from EGS. Just a reminder, as well with EGS. You guys want to send in your book, save 5%. Use the code Cannon5. Again, that right there wraps up Fresh from the Comic Shop. Looking forward to all of the you guys all voting on the finalists and then the finals. So good stuff indeed. That right there actually is we're winding down. By the way, this is so Raw Dog. Good sport. That's awesome. Going up again. I smoke weed, so I'm happy for Comic Demon. Congrats, Comic Demon, for bringing the puff. All right. Again, thank you guys all for being patient with us with the technical difficulties we had. Thank you again for the well wishes from my illness in the past week. It's been kind of a rough road, but happy to be back here. Happy to be doing the show with you all. Chris, any final words for this evening?
Yeah, I want to say thank you to everyone that still submitted for last week. And I know we didn't get to show everyone's off, but to the four not semifinals, but the four, ones that we showed off today, good job to all of you. And thank you for continuing this. We both have been down for the count now, and that's life, and it happens. And yeah, for you guys sticking with us. And then I do believe, Jeff, we have one more giveaway for our 1,000 subscriber contest. So we have one more slab to give away, folks. We didn't want to do it today, just coming back after last week's absence and whatnot, but plan on looking actually, well, you know what, Jeff, here we never planned this out, but why not plan it out live? What do you think about giving away our final slab on our 100th episode? That's in 2 weeks,
2 episodes away. We have to plan something for that.
Yeah, and we got to do something more special too. So it's gonna be fun, whatever we do.
We'll think. Yeah, I think that's a good way to go. We won't have that giveaway next week. We'll have it the following week. Why not
Awesome.
give something away for the 100th? Great, guys. Thank you again so much for joining us. We'll be back again 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific on a Sunday. People, until then, be good to yourselves, be good to others. We will see you next week. Peace.